The following segments are pre-recorded and sponsored by Longworth Productions.
Talk about lung screenings on Triad Today. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today, coming to you once again from the beautiful Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. We'll tell you more about the garden later on, and later on is when the roundtable shows up, and Ogie will be here, and Bob and Dave, and we'll get into all sorts of things, including some analysis of what happened at the election that we just had. All that's coming up. So I hope you'll stay with us. Some great guests, important information coming your way. Where we want to start is talking about lung screenings, and we do it with this special guest. Dr. Garrett Sherwood is a lung cancer specialist at Novant Health Cancer Institute. Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you as well. Thanks for having me.
Doc, we all have heard about the importance of colonoscopy. We've heard and done segments on this show about the importance of mammograms for women. But I think we don't spend too much time talking about lung screenings. Now, what should we know about that?
Well, I'm biased, but I would certainly agree with you. Lung screenings are incredibly important. I think there's still too much of a stigma about the lung cancer diagnosis in general, and it leads people to not pursue a screening. But with screenings, we can detect lung cancer very early, and we can treat people with a curative intent and hopefully get that same long-term outcome like we see with breast and colon cancer.
Yeah. Now, are lung screenings only for smokers?
It's a good question. Right now, the answer is yes. We're hoping to be able to identify people who smoke less or don't smoke that should be getting screened. But for right now, the answer is if you're between the ages of 50 and 80 and you've ever smoked, then you qualify for screening.
Right. Now, how often should someone who fits that category, how often should he or she come and get a lung screening?
They are annual screens unless there's something that we find that we feel needs to be evaluated further.
Well, Doc, what does the lung screening actually entail? Sort of give me an insight on that.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's a CAT scan, but it's a low dose of radiation that's given. So that's why it's safe to repeat yearly. The whole process takes maybe 15 or 20 minutes to get through the scanner, and then within a day you should be hearing about your results.
If you find something suspicious and you call me or go to my chart, however we want to handle it, what's the next step for me and you?
Exactly. It depends on exactly what we find. At Novant, we have a team where we have a medical oncologist like myself, a pulmonologist, radiologist, and a thoracic surgeon who are kind of all flagged on abnormal results, so we can get together and then go back to the patient with kind of our single group recommendation for the best
Why
next
is that?
step.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm curious about that because you sent me an email. I think Bonnie sent me one too, about the team effort. Why is that important? Because if I'm saying, well, I just need a lung screening, I don't need a cardiologist.
Right.
Why is it important to have the team?
Yeah, because as many abnormal screenings as we get, probably about of the highest risk category, 2 in 5 of those are going to end up being cancer, but 3 in 5 aren't. And it's really hard for your primary care doctor to look at the screen and know what the appropriate next step is. Well,
now, how has detection and treatment changed or improved over the years?
Yeah, it's gotten dramatically better. We can now biopsy safely much smaller spots in the lungs that we might call a nodule. Previously, we were forced to kind of just observe those because we couldn't get to them. And then if we biopsy it and prove it's cancer, we can remove it without removing whole segments of the lung.
Wow, that is a big improvement.
Yeah.
Since you're here for the first time, and I want to just ask you a personal question if I could. Who or what had an impact on you wanting to go into healthcare?
Yeah, it started with my father who was in healthcare, and then lung cancer really spoke to me when my grandfather got diagnosed. He had served in the military. He had he smoked for a short time, but had quit. But I saw the way he was treated by the healthcare system, and I just didn't like the way that lung cancer patients were treated compared to patients with other sorts of cancer.
Right. So you were about how old when these revelations came to you? You were in high school, or
high school, and then kind of early 20s.
Yeah. No, I'm so glad you chose that profession and helping so many people. I really do appreciate that. Up on screen, you can call the Novant Health Cancer Institute at area code 336-277-8800. And of course, the Novant Health general website is up on screen as well, novanthealth.org. But Doc, I hope you will come back sometime and we'll talk some more about this.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Thanks so much.
Thanks very much.
We'll be right back after this.
It's hard to believe the Safe Sober program has been going strong for over 30 years.
And over 600,000 students have made the pledge to stay safe and sober on prom night. Griff, it's had a huge impact on our community.
Yeah, you're right, David. And now we're making sure the message continues year-round.
So everyone can join us in supporting our students.
Learn more and take the pledge at safesober.com, sponsored by Daggett Schuler.
Spartans are the teachers, artists, nurses, scientists, and leaders who build our communities.
Back now on Triad Today, and I am so honored to have this young lady with us on the show. She and her team are real heroes, real community servants, and you're going to find out why in just a second. I'm talking about Lieutenant Donna Ballard. She's with the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. Welcome.
Thank you, Jim. Pleasure to be here.
We could take an hour on this. We're going to have a few minutes, and I want to try to really let folks at home know what you and your team were doing in Western North Carolina to help people, flood victims. You did search and rescue in Buncombe County. What were some of the initial situations you encountered?
At first, when we first got there, obviously it was several days after Hurricane Helene had already went through the city. We were actually based out of Swannanoa at the Swannanoa Fire Department. The overwhelming amount of support and people coming through wanting to do something. I've got a truckload of this. I've got some food, supplies, clothes. It was just amazing how many people were actually trying to volunteer to do something, to cook. And at that time there wasn't as many distribution sites.
Right.
And for the local first responders to try to figure out where and what all they needed to do to coordinate to get everybody in the right direction was one of the main initial things. As soon as we walked up to the fire department to start helping, people were just like flooding in. So it was really amazing.
Was there any particular rescue that you guys did or moment that stands out in your mind?
Actually, there's a couple that stood out. It wasn't necessarily a rescue, Jim. It was, we were actually looking for an 80-year-old elderly man. He was he lived exactly on the river, and he had been swept away by the river. But we had heard through the grapevine, which you don't know if it's true or not, that one of the neighbors had gotten him.
Wow.
So we went up and we started searching, combing the areas. We looked for him for days, and so we found out his background, found out he was a veteran, so we went to the veteran hospitals. It's like we've done a huge investigation on this little man, and it was awesome because I got a phone call. I was still down in Buncombe County one night about 9:30, and he told me his name. He said, "I hear you're looking for me." I said,
great.
"Sir," you don't know what a relief it is to
great.
Actually hear your voice.
Look, that's a good story, and it has a good ending, but we both know there was a lot of tragedy there.
Yes, sir.
So let me just ask you, and I know this is personal, but how are you doing emotionally after seeing the devastation and doing the rescue? How are you holding up? What's going through your mind?
When I was down there, I think I was so tired. I slept very well. But once I got home and started settling down, the nerves and the excitement and the adrenaline had wore off. At home was a different story. I got to where I couldn't sleep several nights. And the only thing I could think of, I wasn't down there during the actual hurricane, so I didn't see the floods. But what do? TikTok, Facebook has got it all.
That's right.
And so I sit there and I just started filming, just passing through the videos. And so I saw all the parts of the towns where I was and where I knew who such and such lived there.
Yeah.
And because we really got to know the community.
Well, what does it say about you and your team to be able to be such good neighbors that they go up with their ATVs, and of course your department came up with a lot of other
Yes, sir.
Help and support. What does that say about them, and what does it say about maybe people who are thinking and wanting to join the department? So bring that together.
Okay, the ATV team that we went up with, they were just ready and just ready to dig in and get up there and find something to do, rescue people. But the ATV team is just only part of the sheriff's
That's
office,
right.
like you said, that had went up there. And it is, if you have any interest in ATVs, investigation, search, this goes to show our agency, the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office, does an awesome job in helping the community, other communities all the way in the western part of the state. They sent 20-some people every time to go to the western part of the state so we could help people in our state. And it just goes to show that our agency does an awesome job within the community and other communities in the state.
I know you're proud of all the folks that
Yes,
went up
sir.
there, and I'm proud of you too.
Thank
And
you, sir.
Up on screen, I want to put something up there, GOFCSO, which stands for Forsyth County Sheriff's Office, nc.org. I hope you will check that out. And I hope you'll come back sometime and we can
Yes,
talk
sir.
about why you got into law enforcement and all that good stuff.
Yes, sir, I would love to.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you that Triad Today is now streaming on WFMY Plus, available free on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. Back now on Triad Today, always glad we can spend a few minutes visiting with our good friends from Duke Energy. With me now, Jimmy Fleith, Director of Central Region Government and Community Relations for Duke Energy. Good to see you, Jimmy.
Good, always good to see you, Jim.
We're getting into winter.
Yep.
And so let's focus on three things, and you can help me remind folks what these are going to be. Energy saving tips is one, services and products that are offered and available, and where to find contractors if we need to spruce things up or to be energy efficient. So let's start with saving money, some tips for saving money. Now, you sent me an email. One of the things on there was something about air filters.
Yeah, sure. That's something that's really simple. We don't always think about it. I know I'm guilty of not changing mine frequently, but if you think about it and they're full of dust, your system's going to have to work that much harder to push air into your house, so it's going to use more energy.
Yeah.
So just changing your filters on a regular basis is a really smart, easy thing. you can
Yeah,
do
so
to
not
save
only
energy.
is it unhealthy not to change it, but you're wasting money.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, thermostat.
Yeah, so the biggest energy user of our homes is heating and cooling, and so we're coming into winter. We're going to use our heating systems a whole lot more, and so setting that thermostat at in the wintertime, the lowest comfortable setting that you can. I know when my kids were young and at home, they always wanted to walk around in t-shirts and shorts all winter long.
Right.
Put on a sweater, set that thermostat down, and you'll save a lot of energy. Just by kind of setting that down. And programmable thermostats are something you can buy on the Duke Energy website through our energy efficiency shopping store.
Yeah.
And you can set it to where it'll, like at nighttime, usually we want it to be a little bit cooler at night, so it'll automatically set your system down a few degrees at night. If you're away from home working during the day, set that thermostat even a little bit cooler. And if you're, want to warm up a little bit before you get home, if you got a programmable, you can set it up. So there are things you can do to really save energy.
You're a man after my own heart, Jimmy, because I like those cooler temperatures. My wife likes it tropical. So now, you also said in an email, did I read this wrong? Something about keep drapes open?
Yeah. Well, the sun's out. If it's a bright, sunny winter day, keep your drapes open and let the sunlight in. And then the opposite's true at nighttime. And if it's a cloudy day, keep them closed. It just adds a little extra insulation. It will help save some energy.
Ceiling fans good?
Yeah. If you think about it, really only when you're in the room. So you want them turning clockwise. So hot air rises. So you want that ceiling fan to push the warm air down.
Right.
But it's using energy to turn that fan. So if you're not in the room, it makes more sense to turn that off unless you're actually in the room.
All right, quickly, there's some products and services I want to get you to mention. First is rebates.
Yeah, we've got some great rebates that folks can use if you want to spend a little bit of money. If you're changing your heating and air conditioning system, they continue to get more efficient, as time goes, and that'll save you some energy to put a more efficient system in. Rebates for things like insulation. They make heat pump hot water heaters that are very efficient. They'll save.
What about flex saving options? What does that mean?
So flex saving options, we've got some new products and services. Takes a little bit more work on your part, but they're rates, that energy rates you can sign up for where you pay a little bit more during peak energy use, but you pay a lot less. So if you can shift your energy use to off-peak, it's a lot better.
And then, I don't know if we have video of this or not, but the virtual home energy assessment where you can sort of communicate with somebody from Duke Energy or somebody.
Yeah, that's something that's new. So we've had for a long time our home energy house call where somebody will come out and meet with you. Now we're offering that virtually, so you don't have to worry about somebody coming in your house.
Okay.
They can set an appointment with you and walk through with your phone and take a look at the various things in your house. And either virtual or somebody coming out in person. You get a kit with some energy saving items in there, like low flow water faucets, and shower heads, hot water heater wraps, and various things, LED light bulbs.
Yeah, and so whether you do it in person or with a smartphone or whatever, it's some good tips there that people can offer. Before we run out of time, if I want to make some upgrades to make the house more energy efficient, Is Duke Energy in a position to sort of help me pick out some contractors? Or
We have a service called Find It Duke, FINDITDUKE. It's a great service, even for things like plumbing. But if you need to put on a contractor, you want some estimates, these contractors have been vetted. They have to meet certain requirements to be on the list.
Right.
And if you go in and set up, and I want to look at, somebody installing a new heating or air conditioning system or a hot water heater, there are contractors that are on that list. And if you put your information in, they'll contact you and give you some estimates. So
that is so important, especially in this day and age of people getting scammed and taken advantage of, to know that I can go through this website you're talking about and get somebody reliable, because like you said, you vetted them.
Exactly.
And we feel good about it. Well, since we're mentioning that, let's put a couple things up on screen. Finditduke.com. Finditduke.com is what Jimmy was referring to. But the main website is duke-energy.com, so you can check that out as well. And it'll list all the different products and services. Jimmy, you have really helped save folks money on this, and I appreciate you stopping by, man.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're helping to help our customers save some energy, save money, and it helps us all, helps the environment.
Now, will you write a note for me to take home to my wife to say it's okay to turn the thermostat down?
Put on a sweater.
Yeah, put on sweaters. All right, we'll be right back after this.
North Carolina's economy is growing, bringing new businesses and opportunities. The need for electricity is growing too. At Duke Energy, we're meeting the challenge, providing even more electricity that's cleaner, reliable, and that stays affordable. We're getting out of coal and reinvesting in our communities with a diverse, balanced mix of energy sources and making targeted upgrades to the grid so that North Carolina can thrive in a smarter energy future.
Back now on Triad Today, time to go to the theater, sort of. We'll sort of live vicariously through Dan. Dan Bernard's with us, Dr. Dan Bernard, Director of High Point Theater. Good to see you again, sir.
How you doing, Jim? Good to see you.
Good. We have a big event I want to talk about, but I'm going to hold that for a second, because what I want to talk about with you first is volunteer opportunities. You sent me an email one day, and you sort of alluded to the fact that volunteers are very important in High Point Theater. How so?
Well, especially this time of year, we have a lot of Christmas shows. Our December is so packed. And we are staffed with volunteer ushers for every show, even the ones that rent our hall. We provide ushers for them.
Right.
So this is kind of an annual plea for people to sign up. It's kind of a fun job.
Do you have volunteers doing other things throughout the year too?
Mostly ushering. Everything else, crew, stage crew. We need people with training and. But the ushers are always a pressing need.
Let me put you on the spot. What qualifications should I have if I see you on TV and I said, okay, Dr. Bernard, I want to be an usher. Now, do I have certain qualifications? Do I have to fill out certain forms? Do I have to be vetted? I mean, what's the deal?
There's a process to go to our website, and if you click on under the support tab, volunteers come right up and you can sign up. You do need to be able to follow directions, and you don't. It's not just a free chance to see the show for free. You do have to do some duties, and a lot of those duties are outside the theater. So it really takes somebody that has a passion for it.
Right.
But beyond that, we're welcome all.
Would I, if I'm chosen to be a volunteer usher, would I need to be there a certain number of days or a certain number of performances, or do you have a schedule, or what would it be?
It'll be a scheduled thing, and we try not to overwork people, but we try not to, you need to be able to be there because there's some training involved.
Sure.
And so you need to volunteer for a certain number anyway. I'm not sure what the minimum is.
Any age limit, I guess, as long as you can drive, or?
I think that would be, I think 16 or so, it would be still all right.
You don't want to know how I drive. My wife says I don't drive very well. All right, so look, folks, in just a couple minutes, we'll put up on screen the website, and you can do exactly what Dan advised, because volunteers are important, and we'll get to that in a second. All right, now, let's talk about Saturday, November 30th, 7:30 p.m., John Berry Christmas Tour. He seems to be around every year. People seem to love it. What is it going to be about?
Yeah, this is, I think, our 5th year for him, and it's he brings a lot of people with him. It's sort of the kickoff to the Christmas season. It's on the day after Black Friday, so you have your turkey, and then you go shopping, and then you go to the show, and got your weekend covered. Just a good way to start the Christmas season.
And it's going to be packed. I mean, are there any tickets even available for that?
Still tickets available, but it is, that sells very consistently.
Yeah.
So buy early. I
Yeah,
totally
you don't want to
recommend.
wait too long on that. All right, so again, it's Saturday, November 30th, but don't wait too much longer to get the few tickets that are still left. Up on screen, highpointtheater.com. As I said before, I love this website. And because it goes into so much detail about all the different acts, and you can really get the details that Dan and I can't get into in just a few minutes. But High Point Theater, remember there's 2 T's in there, High Point Theater, and that's RE theater.com. For tickets, please call 887-3001. Don't go to these scam artists or anything else, and because they're always out. They're like coming out of the woodworks trying to sell people stuff, right?
And they will weasel their way into the to the top of the, when you do a Google search, they'll find their way to get above yours. It's terrible. Yeah, just go to our site. It's less money.
Yeah.
And it's for sure the legit tickets.
Yeah. I never asked you this. Is the box office open pretty much all day, Monday through Friday, or?
Absolutely.
Okay, so look, no excuse for not calling again. That's 887-3001. Please do that, and please volunteer if you have a hankering too. Thanks for doing this.
It's my pleasure. We'll see you in a little while.
All right, we'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you to catch my column Longworth at Large and Yes Weekly every week. It's available throughout the Triad, or you can go online, yesweekly.com. Back now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable with a quick shout out to the good folks here at the Senior Botanical Garden. Come out to the garden and visit. It's a great place. Hope you will do so. You can check them out online as well. My voice is a little weak, so hang with me. We are taping this on Wednesday following Election Day, so a lot of our voices are tired from staying up late. With me, of course, Ogie Overman, Bob Shackelford, Dave Briggs. Guys, let's get into first the presidential result. Any surprises or explanations? Ogie.
A lot of explanations, Jim. I'm shocked at the margins. We got stumped. We flat got stumped.
Bob?
I remember in the 80s when Bill Clinton and Monica, all the billboards and bumper stickers that said character matters. I'm surprised that in this country it really doesn't anymore.
Dave Briggs.
Well, I'll tell you what surprised me was the popular vote. $5 million votes more is a lot. I think the real difference here is that I believe that the Trump campaign created a much larger tent than the Democrats did this time. The union employees went for him. The Hispanic population and the African American population numbers went way up.
Everybody went for him.
And that's because he worked with them.
Well, I'll say one quick thing about this, and my theory is that there are millions of men of all ages and colors in the Democratic Party and independent who are not secure in their manhood and who will never vote for a woman president. And that is sad, guys. And we won't have one in my lifetime. Doesn't matter whether you like Kamala Harris or not. I don't know whether she would have made a good president or not. I'm just saying that's what happened. Men wouldn't vote for a woman. All right, what about the state races? Governor, no surprise there. State superintendent of schools was close, right?
I was glad she got beat.
Well, okay.
I thought that was a lot closer than
Closer than it should have been, yeah.
But everybody was supposed to win kind of won. Elaine Marshall, Jeff Jackson, an attorney general. It's going to be interesting to see. But the new governor, Josh Stein, is going to have veto power because they did break through the supermajority.
Okay, I didn't know that.
All right.
Excuse me, Jim.
Yeah.
Mark Robinson didn't pull down the Trump. That was the theory, that he was going to pull down Trump's support in North Carolina.
No.
Didn't do it.
But I think that's typical of North Carolina, is that they've often had split votes.
Yeah, but what's odd is Mark Robinson got killed for allegedly making lewd comments on a porn site. Donald Trump had sex with a porn star while his wife was with a newborn.
Allegedly.
Got a lot of allegedlys today with the. All right, Amazon.com founder Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, where last week he refused to let his editors endorse a candidate for president. They had a Kamala Harris endorsement all ready to go, and he wouldn't publish it. Top staff resigned. The paper lost 250,000 subscribers. My question, guys, is should newspapers even make political endorsements? And if they do they ever really sway voters? Ogie.
I think they should, even though they probably don't sway a whole lot of voters. I think it's a responsibility to endorse a candidate of your choice.
Bob.
I agree they should be able to do it. It's mostly bragging rights. People don't change votes over that.
You don't think it sways him? Dave, is it sway in the editorial sway?
I don't think it really sways anyone, but historically, the Chicago Sun-Times, the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, and so on have always given an endorsement. I was surprised by that.
Late last month, the Winston-Salem-Forsyth County School Board voted to keep the moment of silence before meetings rather than return to having a secular prayer. The board is catching flack from religious groups who want the prayer instead of a moment of silence. Guys, did the board make the right decision? Ogie.
I think so. That way, nobody should be offended over that. That way, you can pray to the God of your understanding and not offend any Muslims or Zoroasters or anybody.
Right. Moment of silence. Okay with you, Bob?
It is. When people start praying prayers that are different than my kind of prayers, that's when I'll be wanting a moment of silence.
Yeah, that's right. Dave?
I agree with that. I mean, they could be thinking about their wife during that time of silence if they want, or their husband or whatever.
Thinking about my wife?
Yeah, your wife. They might be thinking about your wife.
Dave. Iceland. We've talked about this next subject a little bit, but Iceland is having great success with its shorter work week. Employees there work 4-day weeks with no loss in pay. The result is a booming economy and low unemployment. Quickly, guys, should the U.S. adopt a 4-day week and do the Iceland plan? Ogie?
Where was that idea when I was working? 60 hours a week. Yeah, I think it's a good idea, actually.
All right, Bob.
I remember with the boom of technology back in the late 60s, they were talking about a 4-day work week. And instead of us getting through with our work sooner, they've just put more work on us because we have the technology.
That's interesting. Dave?
I think there are way too many industries that have to work 5 or 6 days a week. I'd love to do a 4-hour work week, but you can't do that in
4-day work week, yeah. Finally, dating apps are now making politics a more prominent part of profiles so that you can decide who to date based on their political affiliation. Guys, do you think it's a deal breaker if the woman you want to date votes differently from you? Ogie.
I can't imagine waking up beside a Republican every morning of my life. I cannot even fathom that.
Well, Dave will come over. And Bob, what do you think?
Well, Kellyanne Conway and George didn't make it. And Mary Madeline and James Carville did
make it. So, Dave Briggs, what do you think? Is it a deal breaker? If
I think it would be very difficult if you want to have conversations during election years.
Okay.
You're not marrying a different opinion anymore. You're marrying a different tribe.
Okay, I agree with that. All right, well, that's all the time we have. Well, except for this. Just recently, a man was paragliding, I think that's what you call it, and he was flying over Egypt. And he flew over the pyramids, and he saw, this is a true story, saw a dog sitting on the very top of the Great Pyramid. The dog then scampered away, revealing what has to be the largest pyramid ever left behind by a dog. Doesn't that make any sense?
And
for all of us here, I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next week.